Hello, I'm Brian Tarrant, Head of Data Science Platform here at the Royal Statistical Society. And in this series of short videos, we're previewing some of the papers and sessions at the upcoming RSS conference in Aberdeen. Today, I'm joined by Rhian Davies, a data scientist with the Newcastle-based analytics company, Jumping Rivers. Hello, Rhian.
Hiya, Brian.
Thank you for joining us. So you've organised a session for conference specifically for the communicating and teaching statistics stream. Your session is share your stats with R and Python, and that's taking place 2 p.m. on Tuesday, 13th of September. So I'm assuming that many statisticians, data scientists, those coming along to the conference will be familiar with using R and Python for statistical analysis, and these are programming languages. But here, I guess the focus of the session is less on the analysis, more on the output. So, what sort of outputs are you going to be focusing on?
Yeah, so that's exactly the idea. So we've got a mix of different speakers, and we'll actually deliver training through the RSS as well. So Charlie Hadley is going to talk about how you can build open source data dashboards, specifically with R, to sort of get users to see visualizations and encourage them to explore data sets and modeling outputs. Rob Mastrodomenico is going to talk about the Django framework, which is a Python framework that also allows you to kind of build really interesting tools. And I'm going to talk about the Plumber package, which allows you to interact with a model and effectively allow users to build tools, new tooling around your models. So, and then we'll probably have a nice panel session to wrap up.
So are these going to be quite sort of practical, sort of hands-on sessions? Will people have an opportunity to kind of, build some simple outputs as part of that session?
We're going to focus on more just introducing people to the tooling available because there is such a broad variety, right? So I'm hoping that people can come to the session with some idea of what they do with statistics and leave with, oh, maybe I'll go build a website, or maybe I'll build an application. We do have a session later in the week, I think on the Thursday, which is specifically building dashboards in Quarto, and that is going to be hands-on.
So Rhian, as a statistician or data scientist, are there particular advantages to kind of communicating statistical outputs in this way? Using these programming languages rather than say, using the kind of tools that a journalist like me might be more familiar with, PowerPoint, Excel, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I guess one of the main ones actually is sort of taking away the pain of when things change, right? So when we put our model together, we put our data set together, we'd like to think that's the end product, and we create our graphs, we lock down our data sets, we copy paste them into PowerPoint, and then we get feedback from our reviewer or the data set updates. And then we have to redo everything again. And a lot of these tools actually automate away the pain, so that when your code changes or your data changes, your graphs, your presentations, your summary data sets all just update like magic. So for me, that's one of the really big wins.
So there's workflow advantages as a statistician, but I guess does it add a level of transparency to the process, that kind of help support things like reproducibility and replicability?
Yeah, I think there's been a really good movement towards making research more open source and development more open source. So I think people have become more comfortable with the idea that now when they do analyses, they might be expected to show their workings in terms of the R script and make that available. Some of these tools actually help you transfer the code into other languages as well, which massively opens up the pool of end users who can interact with your model and can interact with your data. So yeah.
And going on to end users, I mean, so the people that may have commissioned the analysis, are there benefits for them in sort of following this approach? And I'm thinking again, selfishly, people like me, who are not statisticians, I don't want to really mess around with the code, but I kind of, are there ways I can interact with the outputs that I couldn't do if it was more of a flat kind of static presentation?
Yeah, exactly. So as a statistician, I feel like I've done a good job if people are curious about the data and curious about the model I've created. And that maybe doesn't involve having R installed on your machine and running through and building code. So if I can put a web application out there so users can click and drag, maybe zoom in on a plot and look for things that are interesting to them, or maybe even upload their own data and see how that model affects them personally, I think that's going to create really good engagement with the research. rather than, just having the script there, and it just opens up to be accessible to a wider group of end users.
Okay, excellent. And so, ahead of the session, are there any great examples out there, or whether they're kind of websites or blogs that talk about, these sorts of outputs that you'd recommend people check out to kind of get inspired about what's really possible to do with R and Python?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff out there. We've just been developing a dashboard with the World Health Organization Europe on the vaccine rollout that I've really enjoyed working on. But more generally, there's our studio, or as they're rebranding, Posit. They run a Shiny competition every year, and the entries for that are fantastic. They're very diverse, lots of different topics, can be very in-depth analysis of sort of biostatistics, or a fun, very visual analysis of someone's Spotify listening. And it really shows the variety of the types of tools and apps you can build within a tool like our Shiny.
Fantastic. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of inspiration available during your session on Tuesday, the 13th of September at 2 p.m. So thank you, Rhian. We look forward to seeing you there in Aberdeen.
See you in Aberdeen.
And so the RSS International Conference 2022 takes place from the 12th to the 15th of September at P&J Live Aberdeen. See rss.org.uk/conference for the full programme and details on how to register. Thanks for watching.